Okay, so what if I told you there's a hidden world of myth that connects one of hip hop's greatest legends to this whole sprawling universe of mad scientists, ancient gods, and even interstellar spaceships? Today, we're going to peel back the mask on a story that I guarantee you won't find in any history book. And our story really kicks off with him, the man in the metal mask, MF Doom, the supervillain of rap. He was this artist who was so mysterious. His rhymes felt like they were beamed in from another dimension entirely. I mean, his whole persona was just iconic, part comic book baddie, part absolute lyrical genius.
But here's the thing. What if that mask wasn't just a gimmick? What if it was actually a symbol, a key that unlocks a secret history, a whole set of stories trying to make sense of a world that, let's be honest, often doesn't make any sense at all? That's the real question we're diving into today.
To really get the mask, you've got to understand the man behind it, Daniel DeMille. Now, his journey from being in the group KMD to becoming the masked rebel MF Doom is a whole story of tragedy and reinvention in itself. But his persona, it was drawing from something way, way bigger than just his own life. And that right there is the crucial point. Doom's whole villain act didn't just pop up out of nowhere. No, it tapped into this incredibly rich, complex, and often ignored cultural current, a kind of modern mythology that's been brewing in the heart of urban America for a long time. So let's actually talk about that mythology. We're not talking about ancient Greece or Rome here. This is something much more recent, something born from struggle, from oppression, and from a really deep need to explain the world from a totally different point of view.
A scholar named Yusuf Noruddin actually gave it a name, urban mythology. And as you can see from the definition, these aren't just simple stories. They're entire frameworks for understanding the universe, the social order, and your place in all of it.
And just to be super clear, we are not talking about urban legends, like alligators living in the sewers. Urban mythology is way deeper than that. It's what's called a controlling image that gives meaning to everyday life. And it's often rooted in the teachings of groups like the Nation of Islam. All right, and this is where it starts to get really wild. These myths are just packed with sci-fi themes. We're talking rogue scientists, genetic engineering, and even holy wars fought between aliens. So, at the very heart of the Nation of Islam's mythology, you have this incredibly powerful, almost comic book villain named Yaqub. They call him the big-headed scientist, and he's this brilliant but kind of sinister figure who, thousands of years ago, decided to conduct an experiment that would change the world forever. So, according to this story, Yaqub used this 200-year-long eugenics program, and you can see the steps laid out right here, to essentially graft the white race from the original black population. But this story isn't just about racial origins. It's also a pretty stark cautionary tale about the dangers of science without morality and ambition with no limits. Now, just when you think things can't possibly get any more elaborate, a rival mythology comes along, takes these same core ideas, and literally blasts them into outer space. And that brings us to the United Nuwabian Nation of Morse. The Nuwabian universe is a lot. It is a breathtaking mix of sci-fi and esoteric beliefs. Their leader, a super charismatic guy named Malachi York, had all the answers, mainly by claiming he was an alien himself from a planet called Risk. They pulled heavily from ancient astronaut theories, believing humans were a genetically engineered slave race made by aliens from a planet ship called Nibiru. And Yaqub, the mad scientist, in their version, his genius was because he was born with 2 brains. Now, for the people who believed this, for followers who were searching for a powerful new identity, this was not just some abstract story. The Nuwabians actually tried to build their mythology right here on Earth, which led to a dramatic, and in the end tragic, real-world clash with the authorities in rural Georgia. They built a place called Tamaray. It was this huge, 476-acre compound that they called the Egypt of the West. And I mean, they had giant pyramids, a sphinx, all kinds of Egyptian-style monuments. They even declared themselves their own sovereign nation and believed a mothership was on its way to save them all. But as you can probably guess, their utopian vision clashed hard with local reality. The county sheriff, a guy named Howard Sills, saw their claims of sovereignty and their armed guards as a direct threat, and the tension just kept ratcheting up and up until it reached a breaking point. And then, on May 8, 2002,
all that tension just exploded. A massive force of over 300 federal and local agents raided the compound. We're talking armored vehicles, helicopters, SWAT teams. The scale of this operation was absolutely immense.
The raid didn't end in a big shootout, though. It ended with arrests. Malachi York was eventually convicted on federal charges and sentenced to 135 years in prison. And just like that, the Tama Ray experiment was over. The pyramids were all torn down.
So, what do we make of all this? Really? Are these just outlandish beliefs from a strange cult, or is there something deeper going on here? To understand that, we really need to look at what purpose these myths served for the people who believed them. The Nuwabians had a name for it. They called it the Spell of Leviathan. It was their term for what they saw as an oppressive social system, a kind of unwritten contract that they felt they had never consented to, the rules of a society that wasn't built for them.
And this right here is the core function of urban mythology. It's a counter-narrative. It's designed to break that spell by flipping the script, by deconstructing mainstream history, and by creating new, empowering origin stories. And it's that very act of rewriting the narrative that fuels the art of figures like MF Doom and so many others, turning society's villains into cultural heroes.
So that brings us to the final question. In a world that feels full of wrong knowledge, are these elaborate sci-fi myths just strange stories? Or are they something more? A powerful social critique? A raw expression of suffering? Or maybe they're the soul of a soulless condition? From a rapper's mask to an Egyptian city in the middle of Georgia, it's all a testament to this incredibly powerful human need to create meaning, even if it means you have to build a whole new universe to do it.